All right. Welcome back to the Uncrowned Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. This is a podcast for men looking to grow closer not only to God, but also the brotherhood. Look to be the men that God really called them to be. I know I took a little bit of a hiatus. I know I said I was going to be consistent for every Wednesday, and then I got deep into bodybuilding prep because for some reason I thought doing 3 shows during 1 year was a good idea. And that was a greater undertaking than I ever could have thought. And I've been brain dead for probably the last month and a half. That's why you haven't seen me much on the podcast, social media, or really in life in general. On top of all of that, I left my job, created my own business again, started the Uncrowned again. So there's been a lot going on, a lot of stuff in the background. But the last show was this Saturday. We are done and over with. Now time to double down. I have a lot of plans coming up with a podcast for my own social media, for my own business. So lots of stuff for you guys to look out for, lots of stuff for you guys to get into, a lot of resources, a lot of stuff to offer. I'm very excited. Stay tuned. But for today, we have a guest that we've been trying to get on for Lord knows how long. We could never get it figured out, but I'm super glad that we were able to work out this time. This gentleman is literally the definition of the Hulk. He is about twice my size, which I'm already a big dude, so put that into perspective. Mr. Curt Dennis Jr., thank you so much for coming on, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having give me the opportunity to come on. My apologies. I, I run a very busy schedule with the online coaching, uh, promoting a clothing brand, and having two jobs.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. So do you primarily coach like just lifestyle people, or you try to get people as big as you?
Basically, fitness coaching. I've been doing it since, oh goodness, 2012, off and on. So,
Uh,
and I just recently started to pick it back up again. I had one of my clients compete a couple months ago. Um, he did great. Got first place in classic physique and third in the open, which is what we really wanted. He was just doing class physique just to try something new. He ended up winning the class. So, but yeah, it's been going pretty well so far.
that's awesome. I just did flip flop. I went from classic over to the open. Realized my body kept fighting me in that weight cap, so we're like, all right, screw, it, we'll try it. Ended up holding my ground pretty well, so we're gonna stick with it. Now it's time to grow.
Well, there you go.
So,
And you
all
say
right.
you competed in the open or class physique?
So the first 2 shows we did classic physique. The last one, my body was fighting me tooth and nail. We're like, screw it, we're just gonna do the light heavy open. Still ended up placing fourth in my first time in that division. Brought the best luck I've ever brought on stage. So we'll take it. I'm already nationally qualified. We're just gonna take it and run with it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's. I mean, 3 shows in 1 year is pretty. That's 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 pretty tough. 3 shows in 1 year.
Yeah, especially when they spaced out the way they were. It was September, October, November. So it felt like they were really back to back. I had like almost a month in between every single one. So
Yeah.
keeping that conditioning for that long.
Yeah. I typically like with my clients if they want to do back-to-back shows, I like to at least have a month in between the two, to where you're doing one like like you're doing another one 2 months, a month and a half later. At least give yourself a break.
Hmm.
Because you just talked about like how much you're probably having your brain is probably foggy for a lot of time. We were talking about being brain dead.
Hmm.
Um, but like you have to come out of that for at least a couple weeks, just so you can get back to normal. You know, I mean, you can still maintain that condition somewhat, but it's just a mental thing. You have to come out of it, for at least a couple weeks, and then get back into practice for the second show. It's just it's better mentally that way, because then you're not like feel like you're a walking zombie. Pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm the psychopath that decided to do this. This was not my coach's idea whatsoever.
You just want to do shit the hard way.
uh, I'm a Marine. Anything hard in life I like to do.
Oh, there you go. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's just, definitely going forward, you just need to have that mental break.
Oh, don't worry.
So,
I told
well,
my coach. I told my coach, don't ever let me do this again.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was probably a little harder than basic training was for you.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. Because basically everything's kind of, you just get told what to do. It's very easy. You don't have a choice but to do it, whatever. I'm doing this while, I was working, while I'm trying to grow my business, while I'm trying to be a father and husband and all that stuff. So it's definitely something.
Jeez, that's all.
Um,
That's a lot to try to do when you're doing three back-to-back shows. That's a
God provides though. Here we are.
lot. Hey, props to you. You held it down for 3 months and still juggling everything in the process. I know most guys would have crashed out by now.
Yeah, I mean, so that actually leads us right to the topic I wanted to talk to you about today. Is like, I've noticed, I know you've noticed with this up and coming generation, even some of the older generations too. Like everyone has just gotten so just soft, fragile, whether that is physically, whether that is mentally. Perfect example. I was taking my boy up to Walmart just to grab stuff for a science project, and I was kind of just pointing some stuff out to him. Like, look at those people over there. Like, you notice how they're walking around not a care in the world. They have no situational awareness. They have zero clue of the world that's going on around them. And they're walking around. They haven't been able to see their feet since probably 1992. I'm like, why has that become the standard now? Right? Have you noticed that too?
I've noticed it everywhere. I mean, with the two jobs I have, one of them is working at a bar, and you couldn't be more. The people couldn't be more blind as far as situational awareness is concerned. Um, for them, it's an everyday thing. It's because it's being accepted more to take the easy route. Okay, uh, people will find reasons to be complacent, and it's just there's nobody in their life that's actually advocating for them to do more. Okay, whether that's a father figure, whether it's an old workout coach, or some sort of uh, you know what's the word? Mentoring presence. Okay. Um, Nowadays, people feel like that they're so um, privileged and so entitled that they think they don't need a mentor, that they got it. But the problem is they don't learn nothing. Okay. They learn from their own peers, which that could be more bad than good because it depends on who you're around. You're around people that just want to, fuck off, go to the club every weekend, or go to the lake, and then, come back to a 9 to 5 job where it's like, oh, I gotta go back to work on Monday. And it's just, if you're surrounding yourself around people, then you yourself are not going to want to do more. And that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is the reason why people are progressively getting soft as far as what I'm seeing is because you know masculinity has been looked down on as being toxic. So guys want to be as far away from that as possible. So that's why I see more men just being, soft, you know, in general, but not like I gotta put this. It's not. It's like the men today don't have any tough skin at all.
Hmm.
Okay, a simple insult triggers them in the right direction. Um, I mean, I know that getting insulted left and right Did it trigger me? Yeah, because as a kid, you're not used to that shit. But you really need to toughen up because you know it's not going to stop. You just got to be able to deal with it. So yeah, it resulted in me fighting back verbally or physically. But you toughen up at that point because you realize don't nobody care about the fact that you're fighting for sake if you're getting taken advantage of, or or someone says something mean to you. Then you just have to learn to just toughen up at that point. Like, hey, it's just what they say. I mean, it don't really matter.
So is that what
You
got
know
you
what I mean?
working
Is
out
it
in the
not?
first place?
Was that?
I said, is that what got you working out in the first place?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
So is that what got you working out in the first place? When you got tired of all the comments and all
Um.
that stuff?
Yeah, partly. And the other fact was that I like working out. I like lifting. And the other part of it was just to generate that presence. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
you know, like, if you work out, 10 people tend to, how do you say, tend to be more respected of you versus don't work out. How to say people tend to just disrespect you because you don't have respect for yourself.
yeah.
So, and I think now, you know, people don't have enough respect for themselves. So when they see somebody in shape, they have literally no respect because it's like, oh, they're taking steroids, they're doing this, that, and the third. But it's it's kind of messed up because it's like we take care of ourselves, we compete, we do all that because we love it, we enjoy it. We're not doing it for anyone else. We're doing it for ourselves. That's the part that gets them messed up. It's because, oh, you're doing it for yourself. Yeah, I'm doing it for myself. Today, the way has let people be soft is that they're not going to do anything hard unless it's to benefit everyone but themselves. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? They're not going to want to work hard for a fancy car if they're not going to get attention for it.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah. No,
You see what I'm saying?
so now that you put it that way, I think you're 100% spot on. So they'll do something as long as
Because
there's some sort of validation out of
exactly. And, when they see guys like us, we're not looking for validation. But they think we are because we post our physiques. And, and the one thing they see is they see that people like it, people comment, people give a, people are inspired by it. And they're like, they're not getting that validation. And it's like the old saying though, people fear what they don't understand. So when they see guys like us and they see our physiques and they see how we carry ourselves and they see that we do it for ourselves, it just triggers them. Like I had a friend of mine in Texas uh, recently, and he's I think he probably might have looked a little bit taller. And for him, he got a comment that came sideways at him, right? This person they saw his physique and he was triggered in a negative way. And he was just confused as like, why do people act like this? And I had to tell him, I was like, well, your appearance, it triggers people because people don't understand why you're doing it. And when you tell them that you're doing it for you, they still don't get it.
it. Mm,
Because from their perspective, oh, like most guys are in the gym now, say it's soft and eyes, they were going to the gym, you know, for the girl, or for the girls, they'll work just hard enough to get that girl. You've seen it, you know, they'll work just hard enough for that girl, and once they get that girl, what happens?
let it fall off.
They fall off, and then what happens when they break up with them?
Or even then, like they start off really good, like they make that connection, but then they have no moral backbone. So when she's like, "No, stop going, you don't this today, whatever," they submit to that. And next thing you know, my wife just wanted me to go to the gym, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Now absolutely zero moral backbone, and now you're regressing in all the things that you were doing, and now you're the fed POS.
And then what ends up happening, because I know how those end, because I've had plenty of horror stories from guys that were in the gym having, they meet the girl, they put their whole world around them, and then something happens. Either the girl cheats on them or the girl leaves them because they're not the person that they fell in love with.
Right.
And then the guy sitting there kind of stuck like, why'd you leave me? Why'd you did like you're not the same person that she met. You allow her to change you instead of you leading by example. You lead it, you know. And when you didn't do that, that's when she started changing you into someone else that she didn't even recognize. And now she's looking upward,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
know. And that's, I guess, to sum it all up, the reason why the reason why men are soft today is because men are seeking validation from everyone but themselves.
So I think it really happened because right, we had all those generations that were really far on one side, where it was don't talk about feelings, don't cry, shut up, go to work, this is your job, these are your duties, whatever. Now moving forward, progressing as Western culture, the pendulum swung too far the other way now, where now men have become very feminized, and now the whole nation is completely masculine because that's not how it's supposed to be. But I think we're starting to finally swing back with,
We are.
with, we have the spiritual revival going on right now in our nation. We have the rise of health and fitness, and are people going about it the right way? Maybe not, but at least they're getting attention, right? At least we're getting some sort of spotlight on this issue now. And
I
so,
agree. I agree. And
yeah,
I agree. And I also think that going back to what you're saying, that you still have those soft men that are still seeking validation from everyone because they want to be famous. They want to have that attention.
hmm
You know, a lot of these guys want to feminize themselves and look like women because it gets attention. A lot of these guys, you know, 18, 19, 21 years old, want to pretend to be kids. Well, that gets attention. Everything but what it means, everything but be a man.
yeah. I mean, so I've been reading through the book of Proverbs a lot. It goes pretty much hand in hand with what we're talking about right now, with the idea of wisdom, needing a mentor, hanging around the wrong people, what you're seeking versus what you're being validated about. And it struck me so much to the point where I'm actually building my own app around it to help men in their faith, but also in their development. That's based off of what Proverbs teaches, because Proverbs teaches, if you follow the book of Proverbs, it will make you out to be the best man that God called you to be. I don't know if you've ever taken a
I
deep
agree.
dive, but if you ever take a deep dive into it and really pay attention to it,
I've actually I've read a couple verses in Proverbs.
mm,
Um, and it's something I'm definitely going to revisit now that you said something. Because there were some verses that I, picked out in there, and I think if I went back and read the overall text, it would make more sense of what you're talking about.
yeah, go into it, right? Pray before you read, but then go into it with the mindset of, Solomon the writer is your mentor teaching you how to get closer to God as a man. The way that you read it from there will completely change how you digest it. And on my Bible, it has the little clip notes at the bottom to help you with understand the context and stuff like that. So having those two aligned really helps, grasp that perspective. This kind of leads me into my next point is like, what can we do right now to help keep that pendulum where it kind of should, right? Because we're always going to have the soft men, we're always going to have evil men, but for the majority of the time, we need to have strong masculine men Western culture again. One,
The the
go ahead.
the way we go about doing that is for because you do have strong men now that are there, and it's just lead by example, not just your word, but in everything you do. And that's personal. It's just leading by example. I don't think enough people do that. I mean, I see so many people calling themselves coaches, but I'm seeing a
Hmm.
you see what I'm saying? It's like if you're my my interpretation is that you're going to be a mentor too. And there's a lot of these coaches out here that don't know how to mentor workers shit. Okay, I can see some of these coaches needing a coach. Okay, um, but the other thing is that we have to get out the need to seek validation outward. You know, a lot of these guys today, even some of the guys in the gym, they don't have the confidence that they pretend they do. You know, what I mean, I can see it in the words and in what they say, and it's like, you know, it's like getting on a sales call and knowing the difference between someone who is reading from a script versus someone who's actually trying to talk to you. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, it's funny. So that
So
I was literally on a sales call this afternoon. This lady's trying to get me to buy into their like it's like a coach for coaches type deal. And I was like hearing them out. I was like hearing what they had to say. You can tell she was just all right, he has this objection, I'm supposed to say this. All right, he has this objection, I'm supposed to say this. There's no like interpersonal issue. I'm like, at first I was interested, but the more that I talked to them, I'm like, it is cookie cutter. Yes, I understand you have a program and it may work, but you guys
but you
aren't,
but you see but you see the lack of confidence.
you know,
You see what I'm saying? And that's how I feel when people talk to me. I know there's a difference between somebody that is being real with you, being straight out of it, straight being, 100% real with you, versus somebody that feel like they're copying someone else's words and their style.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they follow somebody on the gram or on TikTok and they're copying their style. That's like I see no originality in the things you do. And I think that that comes from seeking that validation from others. Because you see somebody, you see what they're doing, you want to copy and paste what they do. But again, that's copy and paste confidence is something that a mentor can help them come out of, okay? By actually being themselves, by actually being themselves. And there's not much stock in that nowadays because if being yourself is not validated, then people are not going, and then you're not going to want to do it. If people don't feel what you're doing, then okay, well, I'm just going to try to be something else
Well,
instead
yeah.
of actually saying, instead, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is what you get, stay who I'm not perfect, don't plan on being perfect because guess what? When you're perfect, you don't learn nothing.
So from what I've noticed is because you're 100% right, dude. There are coaches and mentors popping up all over the place because they're running through these programs. They're like, okay, yeah, now I'm a coach. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, I don't care what certifications, licenses, degrees, whatever you have. A good coach or a good mentor comes from battle-hardened experience, right? Having
Yes.
gone through it enough times, having overcome all the different challenges to be like, okay, I've accumulated my knowledge. Now let me take what I've learned through my own trials and tribulations, and then let me share it with others that I can actually genuinely pour into and help them. Not, oh, I learned
And
this
that's the
from over here, so I'm gonna go teach him because I can do this now.
and that's the way to go about doing it. And that's the way more strong men need to do is they need to be leaders, they need to be mentors to a lot of these young guys. But at the same time, this is the third thing. People today have closed minds. Okay. And it doesn't even matter if you have a certification or if you've done this for X amount of years. It's the validation part. If you're not validated by the masses, then it doesn't matter. But then that goes back to the closed mind thing. I think you should basically focus on those that actually are open to being a mentor. That's what it's fun because if they're not open to being a mentor, you're wasting your time.
Hmm.
Okay, that's unfortunate. I mean, yes, we want to try to be that example and help help mentor people, but it goes back to them wanting that help, wanting that mentorship. Okay, so if so in saying that, you're going to be able to mentor, fewer than many because people in this day and age have closed minds. And unfortunately, it goes back to what my daddy always said: people either want to learn or they can learn the hard way.
Yeah,
When they learn the hard way, then they want to listen.
well, yeah, I
You know what
definitely,
I'm saying?
I feel like where we have failed this up and coming generation is that we eliminated learning the hard way. Like, we put so many roadblocks and barriers. We're like, no, you're still winning, you're still succeeding, no, you're still doing great, no, you're a great person. And then reality hits them, and you have to face real life, and they're like, oh, what do you mean I'm not X, Y, and Z? Like, yeah, because you've been sheltered your entire life. And I think what truly can bring the best out of a man and show his true colors is no, make him make the hard decisions. Put him in the corner and let him figure it
Exactly. And to that point, you have too many people today finding it easy to get the handouts. Okay, instead of earning it, they want the easy way. They don't want to work for it. They want to hand it to them. They want to feel like, oh, because you and me got it, okay, they should get it too. No, no, you and me haven't earned it. You got to do the same thing. We weren't given this shit. They ain't gonna be given to you.
out. What is,
Now I go into it with
yeah, no, I was going to say real quick, Andy Priscilla has a great quote for what you just said before you keep going. He said, equal opportunity does not mean equal outcome.
I agree. I agree. And people don't understand that. And that's unfortunate because the way the media, you know, fantasize doing the easy way. They don't believe in it. The society has made famous by people doing the easy stuff, not realizing that that's not reality. That's never going to be reality. Yeah, it goes back to you can do it the right way, or you can do it the hard way. It's one. It's kind of like growing up and thinking it was a great idea to take your parents' car for a joyride that ain't nothing going to happen until something happens, and then that real life hits you. I just fucked up my parents' car. Oh shit! I don't know what to do now. Again, that's where it's going to come for a lot of people. It's going to be something like that that's going to happen, and then reality is going to hit them in the face like, oh shit, yeah, and then they come to realize that everything that happened before that was just easy. Now you're about to find out the hard way.
Hmm. Yeah, and
So,
it's even harder for men because so there ain't no one out here to save us. So if you don't have a good supportive partner or a good group of friends that care about you, you are by yourself. Congratulations.
and unfortunately, it comes to that, to where you're literally having to walk your own path, and eventually you'll be around those people. It may not be all at once. It could be one person at a time, and that's where it starts. Um, but it's better than constantly seeking that validation all the time, like you're needing food.
Hmm.
And that's where men have come to deal with depression, uh, not having anybody to talk to because of their upbringing. Their upbringing has something to do with it. And they, and because of that upbringing, it's being made to look like they can't do those things because if they do, they're on their own. Like no one's going to want to. So a lot of it has to do with bringing men together and just men being men.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, like I'm pretty sure you've heard about it, like the guys at Diamond Gym in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good example. Yes, they that I would say their approach is unorthodox, but sometimes that's what honestly that's what's going to take them. It's an unorthodox approach to fixing this issue. Okay,
Either that or
I
maybe
mean,
serving 2 years military service, no matter what.
it's unorthodox, but something's got to give, right?
Some needs to change, right? Because I mean, yes, to your point, yes, there are strong men. Yes, we want to mentor, but again, we're still hitting that roadblock of closed-mindedness, right? Especially with technology and everything, these things are know-alls. But he who thinks he knows everything, in retrospect, actually knows nothing. You always have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to learn. And I think especially the educational system doesn't do us any justice either because they're learning business from a teacher that has nothing to do with
Doesn't know.
business.
I agree. Well, and yes, that doesn't help either because you have teachers that are doing a good job, but then you have some that are talking from perspectives they know nothing about. So that flex is being brought on to the young men and women, and now they think they can do that because their genes are in. So yeah, it's it's a robot because there are so many things that are out there today that are way easily accessible that everyone is going to go through versus like the hard way for people. You know, I mean, no one's going to want to walk into a diamond gym, right? Unless they want to. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's having an open mind to it. That's where it has to start. If they don't have an open mind, I mean, they're really, that roadblock's right there. Okay, it's
So
and unfortunately, they're going to be one of those people that are going to just have to learn the hard way. Either it's tomorrow, next month, next year, 2 years down the line.
I mean, as much as I'm a huge fan of Darwinism and only the strongest survive and all that stuff, um, if we identify the if we identify the issue of okay, here's what's going on, here's the issue, we understand that there's a roadblock there. How do we get other men, young men, even older men at this point to realize, hey, this is an issue that needs to be addressed. Drop your pride and ego down a little bit, so that way we can all progress. I think what I'm trying to do here with the uncrowded stuff is definitely that open doors, that open space. Like, hey, if you want to improve, here's a space for you to learn and grow. But you got to come here. We
Hmm.
can only push so much out to you. So how do we? What do you think is that breakthrough point?
I think talking about it,
Yeah.
putting it out there, putting it in people's faces. That's the one way that I can think of as far as getting past that roadblock. And actually, even better, talking about your own experiences, personalizing your message every time, not just, putting up a quote. You know what I'm saying? Like going down your own personal experience and how it molded you. Because then the more people the more people see that, the more authentic they believe you are, and the more likely they're going to gravitate for you. Because now, it's like it goes back to what you said. It's, okay, this guy's got some experience. Like he knows what he's talking about. Okay, so again, it goes back to talking about and being really open with your own personal experiences, so that others can learn. Hey, this is someone I can learn from. Like he's been through this shit. He knows what he's talking about. So that's where it starts. Is just talking about it and not sweeping it underneath the rug, not having this disconnect because it's not in your bubble, so it's not your concern. But just putting it out there, almost putting it in people's faces, smash mouth if you have to, like unorthodox methods, whatever. Just put it out there in people's faces. Let people see the shit that's going on, and then give your thoughts on it. Like, hey, this ain't cool, you know. So I think it's talking about it, you know, making people aware of it, even when they don't want to be aware
I think that's another issue too, is that they don't want to be aware of it. Like maybe a lot of people know that there's an underlying issue, but because it's so hard to actually face that man in the mirror, that they choose to not even
of it.
look in that direction in general.
Yeah, and again, that's where you just have to keep talking about it because eventually, I like to use situations that I see and then say, hey, here's this situation. This is not the right way of going about doing things. I saw a video last night of a young woman throwing a temper tantrum like an infant. Pepper sprayed her teacher because her teacher took her phone.
Wow.
Okay, and then you pouring it out there and calling it out like, where is this girl's parent? Where's the man in that girl's life? Because I know for damn sure if I had pulled that kind of shit when I was a kid, I'd be scared to go home.
Yeah. There was days I was definitely scared to go home because I knew what the outcome was going to be.
But that's what I'm talking because there is a man waiting for your ass at the house that's not going to put up with whatever excuse you got built up in your head. We all try to come up with a story. It never works.
Hmm.
And we always out there, oh, we're going to get punished. No, it's always worse than that. But again, I sat back and thought, where is the father in that woman's life? Is there a father? Because I can tell from her action there wasn't, or he's not there. Um, but to pepper spray a grown ass man for a phone that he took from you because you weren't supposed to be on your phone. See, there's lack of enforcement by a male figure in her life, and because of that, it made it okay for her to bring a pepper spray and pepper spray the teacher.
Yeah. Like this
Like
is
that's
something I
crazy to
definitely
me.
want the listeners to annotate. Like it should be that like the gravity of this to sit with you even more knowing we're able to see or look at a situation or a person and almost fairly accurately figure out whether or not there was a father figure or a mentor or some sort of good male role model in that person's life just by the way that they conduct themselves or respond to situations.
Right. It's but yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's going back to what we're going to again, it's talking about stuff like this and making people aware that this shit is happening and that it definitely needs to be talked about because that's how people learn to have an open mind about it, and more strong men need to talk about it. That's the other thing. It's like, we're all quick to sweep behind the rug, oh, I got my kid or whatever, and it don't matter, it don't apply to me. Um, but it should. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yep. No,
So
I completely agree. That's why I'm trying to have all these guys on the podcast now. I'm trying to get out there a little bit more. I understand that there's a turning point in society right now. And I want to make sure it's being brought about the right way. Do you have any
I
other do
agree.
you have any other finishing thoughts, statements, comments, questions, concerns as we wrap up here?
No, not the top of my head. Not the top of my head that I already said.
All right, brother. Well, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, what you're on, what you're doing?
Was that?
Oh, I think why don't you tell people, where they can find you, where you're on, what you're doing?
Um, I'm on Instagram, SilverbackHulk on Instagram, and on X. I'm on there as SilverbackHulk X on there as well. I was on TikTok, but I don't post there much because of the suppression of content. I don't really care for it too much. But mostly X and Instagram is where you can find me.
Beautiful, guys. Please go check out his page. Um, his tagline is about as literal as it gets. Just you can put a pictures of the voice. Um, but, gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Uncrowned Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast if you saw value. We're trying to get this word out there. We need more like-minded men. We need more men coming before their creator and humbling themselves and understanding that they can't do it without faith, brotherhood, a strong mind, and a strong body. Gentlemen, stay tuned because we got a big month of November coming up. Curt, thank you so much again for coming on, brother. Glad to finally have you on. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
All right, gentlemen, as always, stay positive, stay motivated, stay on.
Later.